Hello, my name is Agatha Damon. I am an executive presence coach and leadership development facilitator. I wanted to jump on and just talk to you briefly today about 3 signs you will know if you're suffering from imposter syndrome. Again, I am an executive presence coach. What that means is I help women in their career path and leadership path establish a strong executive presence so that they can maximize their impact and increase their income. And I do this through core elite programs as well as on-site leadership training. So I'm happy to be here with you guys today. So just wanted to briefly go over what imposter syndrome is and if you could be suffering with it and what you can do to make that shift. So 3 signs that you're suffering from imposter syndrome. The best way for me to say what imposter syndrome is as women leaders, that feeling of I don't belong here, or we oftentimes diminish our successes, we diminish our accomplishments because we might say it was luck, right? Or it was favor. I'm good for that one, right? We put it on God, and what you do, there's nothing wrong in saying it's favor. There's nothing wrong with saying you made the most of an opportunity. Where the issue lies is when you believe that is the only reason you got to where you are. That luck is the only reason you got that promotion. That luck is the only reason you were able to complete that degree with all the demands of life. When in reality, it's you, right? The reason you're successful is because of the qualities, skills, and steps that you've taken in your life to accomplish those things. So when you suffer from imposter syndrome, we tend to diminish our successes and our accomplishments, and we put them on luck or we put them on favor instead of highlighting the fact that we've worked hard to accomplishing these things, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So the 3 signs that you're suffering from imposter syndrome, number 1 is you're afraid of being outed, meaning at work, in your ministry, in your business, you're always thinking any minute now they're going to realize I don't belong here. Any minute now they're going to realize I'm a fraud, that I'm not really doing these things, that I really don't have the skills, right? You live in that stage of always being afraid that you're going to be outed as a fraud, as an imposter. And it's not something you might verbalize, you say it out loud, but it's in your mind, your thought process in the back of your head. Is this the meeting where I might say the wrong thing and they're going to see that I'm a fraud? Is this project is the one project that's going to highlight that I don't know really what I'm doing? Now, if that's a debilitating process for you, that's something we definitely need to work on. We definitely need to have a mindset shift and get out of that imposter syndrome and really show up, really operating in our true self. How many knows that having to deal with the fear of being outed, that you're a fraud, that you don't belong, that is draining. That is emotionally draining. That's physically draining, right? And it also limits the things that you try to accomplish. Because if you're always afraid of being outed, afraid of a negative experience, right? Who wants to put themselves in a negative experience? You're so afraid of that negative experience, you really don't try, or you really don't go as high as you should. You play it safe. So the number 1 sign that you're suffering from imposter syndrome is that you're afraid of being outed. And the second sign is I mentioned that earlier, you discount your accomplishments. You discount the praise. Oh, that was nothing. Like if someone tells you that was a great job, we love your results. Okay, the team and I. Again, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging other individuals that are part of your team. There's nothing wrong in sharing the praise. But you as a woman leader, are you deflecting? I'll share with you how that showed up for me. Like I said, I have over 15 years in corporate America, worked as a senior technical project manager. So I've always had high performing teams, have a background also in sales and marketing. And that Was not an easy lane, but it was a smooth lane for me as far as, okay, here's my next step, here's my next goals, because I always knew what my outcome would be. I always knew what the financial outcome would be, because that was something that was very important to me, helping my mom raise my three younger brothers, being Haitian immigrants. My parents, both are from Haiti, had us here in the Bahamas and moved to the States. So I watched my parents struggle, and I watched them instill with us worth ethics, right? Our faith was big, but also our career, our education and career was big, because they didn't want that same poverty. They didn't want the same lifestyle for us. So in my career, I was always driven by the need of providing financially for my family. After my dad passed, I'm sorry, making sure I helped and supported my mom with my three younger brothers. So the financial piece of my corporate career was a driving force. So in that aspect, I did not struggle a lot with the imposter syndrome. Now, take a step to my ministry. I'm also a leader in an international organization. So I'm on the board, and it's a male dominated, coming from that faith background. The president of the organization recently, about 3 years ago, he was new. Other members would say, oh, okay, Agatha needs to be on the board. So I felt like, I was suggested to him. So he put me on the board, and he's a wonderful person, wonderful man. And one of my biggest tasks within the board was to organize a retreat for some of our young people. So it was about 75 high school and college age, taking them from Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, our churches within the States, because we also had churches in Haiti. But this event were for our local churches within the United States. And I was given to spearhead this. Now you can imagine taking like 2 or 3 kids out of state. Imagine taking 10, 15 out of state, not add 75. So 3 days, road trips, and it was a conference. It was their Moving Forward conference. It was a leadership ministry type conference, and also making sure the kids had fun, right? The young people had a great time, that it was impactful. Now, coming from Georgia, driving to Panama City Beach, had everything in place, had the facility lined up, had all my snacks, they even called me, Sister Agatha, are we going to have enough snacks? They were telling me between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m., there's on the itinerary, they didn't have a meal or a snack. I'm like, you're supposed to be sleeping between 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., but I got you. So snacks was big to them, right? Snacks, activities, and a curriculum or an itinerary that was impactful, because we were spending 3 days. So we wanted to have the fun aspects, meditations on the beach, exercising. We also wanted the teaching. We had about 3 different speakers. We had breakout sessions. We had everything that comes with organizing an event. And one thing I love is branding. So if Moving Forward was our conference title, and our colors were like orange and silver. So everything had to be branded, right? I was big on pens, bags, materials, booklets, t-shirts. I hauled all of that to Panama City Beach. And I had to make sure all my kids that were coming in from different cities arrived safely, right? That their buses, that their U-Hauls that they were attacking to the church buses arrived safely. So making sure our quarters were separated, because you're dealing with high school and college. So by the grace of God, everyone was there safe. We had 3 days, phenomenal, life-changing. They had a chance to share. They had a chance to really engage, to connect with other members and get the teaching. And when I look back at the videos and photography, you see the kids taking notes, and you see them interacting, you see them worshiping. At the end of this phenomenal 3 days, the president of the organization got up and made this speech, and thanked me for my spearheading it, my dedication, and just really thanked me for making sure the event took place and that it was a success. You would think I would breathe a sigh of relief. I would be grateful that it was done. My mind is, well, what was his perception? Did he think I was going to do a bad job? What was his standard? Did he think I wasn't qualified, or Mind you, this gentleman is up there, the president of the organization is up there commending me, congratulating me. In my mind, I'm thinking his standards were low if he thought this was a great event. His standards of me as a leader, his perception of me as a leader is low if he's so grateful and happy with the event. I stayed in that space for days. We came back home. Our leaders went out. They did their announcements on Sundays, shared the videos and the clips and different reports. I read all the reviews. To have 75 young high school and college age students write out reviews, right? And only one was a little off. But out of the 75, 74 of them were just giving suggestions on what they're looking forward to the following year, what they learned, what they would like to see improve. I'm still in the mindset that this wasn't enough. It wasn't good enough. Something was missing. A week after, 2 weeks after, and it dawned on me, Agatha, why can't it just be you did a great job? Why is it that this gentleman whose doctorates with the whole alphabet behind his name, why can't it just be he had a high expectation and you met those expectations? And I had to really put myself in check. Number one, it's insulting to him, right? Thinking that he has low standards. And number two, acknowledge yourself. Acknowledge the great things. I had to really say, no, you've accomplished this. Yes, God played a role in it because everything you do, you put him first. But at the same time, if you weren't prepared, if you didn't listen to what was needed beforehand, if you didn't have a first aid kit when the child came out the pool bleeding, if you didn't have medication for the child that their parents called to say, Sister Agatha, my son is dealing with this migraine, if you didn't have that foresight, if you didn't have enough playtime scheduled in, if you didn't have speakers that kept them engaged and connected, it would have been a different event. And let's not forget the snacks. If you didn't have enough snacks from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., these college students, these college athletes would have really had different reviews, right? So I share that with you to say that imposter syndrome creeps in at the weirdest moments. And what it does, it stops you from saying, I've done this. I've made an impact in someone's life. And this is what's the hardest part. When you don't stop and acknowledge your accomplishments, when you don't stop and acknowledge the impact you have on someone's life, it stops you from taking that next step. So where we've had 75 young people that I impacted, imagine if I stayed in that mindset. And the following year, if there was 150, I wouldn't have been part of that. I wouldn't have offered my services. I wouldn't have participated in that because I was still in the mindset, well, that wasn't enough. Think about it. Think about it in your career. Think about it in your business. That area where you feel I don't belong or the praise they're giving me is not warranted. When your higher ups look at that and you're not only are you not tooting your own horn, but you're diminishing when they do acknowledge you, guess who gets heard? That coworker who does less than you, less quality than you, but they're the first to throw a parade when they've completed a task. Guess what? Their names stay in the forefront. That's what I want you to think about. When you're dealing with imposter syndrome, if you have false humility, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting your opportunities to get ahead. Let me know if that makes sense. Go ahead and comment in the bottom. Let me know if that makes sense, if that resonates with you, if you have any questions on that. So the second reason you know that you're dealing with imposter syndrome and we need to work on it is because you deflect or you discard your praises. And the third and final signs that you're dealing with imposter syndrome is, did I already share that? Okay. So the third one, I'm making sure I have my notes here. You discount praise. Oh, I touched on it. The third one is that you attribute your success to luck or grace. And I wanted to just briefly highlight two things. With imposter syndrome, we have the thought that, why am I the one that made it? Why am I the one that's successful? Right? If you're the only one that's from the neighborhood and relocated, and now you have a beautiful home, you live in a beautiful neighborhood, you're doing well financially, you're doing well emotionally, you might feel hesitant to share that or really celebrate that because you left so many behind, right? If you, like myself, being, first time graduates, first time six figure in my family, paving that road, I might have that guilt of, wow, how many of my peers, high school friends, didn't really make it. And what we do, instead of saying, okay, let me celebrate my accomplishments because they are my accomplishments, and then I can go back and help those that I know needs the support. When you're dealing with imposter syndrome, instead of you taking that outlook, celebrate me and help those, you just diminish your accomplishments. You put it on, okay, that was luck, so I don't deserve the accolades. I don't deserve the acknowledgement. I don't deserve the big house. I don't deserve the big salary. And now you're not living your authentic self. And now you're not even helping those that are behind you. Because if you don't even want to share that you got out the neighborhood, you don't even want to tell them, listen, I was from this project, I was from this ghetto, or my parents had a GED, or my parents couldn't read. If you're so self-consumed, you're no longer going to share that with someone else that needs that information to know if you can make it, they can make it too. So that's another reason I wanted to share this with you. Hopefully this information helps you and it's something that gives you food for thought. So if you find yourself in the incoming weeks, months, years thinking, I don't belong here, I want to confirm and tell you, yes, affirm that you do belong here. I want to encourage you to continue to reach higher for those goals. My screen is glitching. So hopefully you guys could still hear me. So I want to encourage you to break that mindset that's showing you that you're a fraud. Break that mindset that tells you that you don't deserve this accomplishment. Break that mindset that wants you to dim your light. I want to encourage you today to really step into who you are, step into what you've accomplished, and step into those big audacious goals that you have ahead of you. Again, my name is Agatha Damon. I am an executive presence coach and leadership development facilitator and the CEO of Damon Leadership Institute. I would love to stay connected with you. I have an amazing gift that is the 5 powerful tips that you need as women leaders to succeed in career and business. You can get this awesome free instant download at www.myexecutivegift.com. www.myexecutivegift.com. And it also will be on this post. Go ahead and share your comments with me. I'll go back and read them, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Looking forward to talking to you soon.